How's it going, guys? Chris back here again with some more Historic Brawl. Today, we're doing Ghalta. Dinosaurs are coming up. I didn't really want to build a dinosaur tribal deck, but I have played a lot of Ghalta, so thought we'd start with her, see where we're at. We have a couple more, flexible flexible, days in between now and the release where we can still do a dinosaur tribal. I'm not extremely worried about it, but I don't know. Back when I started on Arena, there wasn't a brawl format, right? So you had to play standard basically. And one of the decks running around in standard was a Ghalta deck. It was mono green. I guess it was mono green Stompy. Yeah, that sounds right. Do, 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 do. And in its simplest term was just trying to get out a bunch of high-powered creatures so that you could slam a Ghalta as quickly as possible, and then just swing in with the 12-12 Trampler. It was a fun idea. They're up to 7 now. I think I'll take another land, just so that next turn we have a guaranteed 8 to rain on Tatyova's Parade. Draw 6, put 6 creatures onto the battlefield should be enough to win the day, especially since we have 2 Vorinclexes in hand. Like, the 2 Vorinclexes can probably do it on their own, but we cannot say for certain. But say my speakers used to be right next to the mic, and as a result, they were a little difficult to adjust mid. Yeah, I'll take 2. And then we'll swing in for 7. One has to answer Vorinclex's Voice of Hunger. And then Ghalta comes down, so I like where we're at. We should be favored. We got the big tramply boys. If we'd kept creature in hand, we could have Fauna Shaman for Critterhoof, and then just literally won next turn, but I did not think of it. If we draw something, we draw something. If not, we'll just go the value route. Yeah, I think Craterhoof would have been a good addition to our current board state. But they are tapping out, bro. This is good. This is real good. So let's try and find a Craterhoof. Yeah, we'll put Regrowth on top, so that it's one of the 5 cards we draw. We'll discard a Wayfinder. Grab the Craterhoof. So how much do I have to work with? I have 13 to work with. So yeah. Our opponent saw the Craterhoof and that we were tapping all the mana. They figured it out pretty quickly. GG, I'm going to game 2. Yeah, I'm actually a big fan of Stompy decks. There's very few Magic the Gathering colors that I don't like to play, honestly. Sometimes I get hyper-focused on a particular subset of cards, and I end up playing like 5 white decks in a row, but Generally, there's no color I don't like. Probably my least favorite color is red, but even red does a lot of cool stuff sometimes. And like, my first mythic was red. Like, I did play a lot of red. Um, but I don't know. I feel like a lot of the other colors have better staying power in a match. Like, red used to be the early game color, and it would win a fair amount of the time early on. Oh, this is an awful hand. Why did I keep this? It used to win an awful lot of the time on the draw, right? Like it was goblins and all this shenanigans and whatnot. But Lionel, this may be your game. Then bad stuff happened to it, right? Like green's creatures got more efficient. Like a God, what was that name? Robber of the Rich is not going to do anything against a werewolf pack leader. I'd say that requires our opponent to have a not only have the Robber of the Rich to play on turn 2, but then have a untap removal spell that's generally better used as a bolt to the face. So green just getting these very cheap, very big creatures just kind of hurt red a lot. And then of course you have the cases of like black and white that also hurt red a lot. In black's case, it was that black's removal was always trending towards more efficient, but when it got to the point where it was basically 1 to 2 mana, it could answer everything that red put down very easily, and then black got a couple of reasonable late to mid game threats that ended up being a little bit too much for red sometimes. The most recent example of that is Shieldred of the Apocalypse, right? Like, she comes down, she gains life, and everybody that is playing red is very sad. Oh, no, don't do that. That's dumb. I nearly fed my shepherd to a brawl. Allosaurus Shepherd is hilariously good against him, though. There's another card coming up in standard, Chimmel, that makes it so that spells you cast can't be countered. And that's also gonna hurt blue a lot. Blue's not really in that great of a place, in standard as far as I know, anyways. Like, there are a couple of blue cards that show up in the Esper list, but I don't know, black has been our dominant color for a while. I mean, in white's case, how it overcame red was with, oddly enough, the first examples of the horrible red matchups were a Johnny Pridemate decks. Like a Johnny Pridemate deck showed up, and the poor red decks were very sad about it. Because not only did the white deck have the bigger creatures that could get out of bolt range fairly quickly, they were also just gaining a ton of life in the process. But these days, it's more along the lines of card advantage, right? Like, you play some thirdly white creature that enters the battlefield and draws a card, or with the right enchantments on the battlefield, draws 2 cards, and doesn't matter if your opponent removes it or if it blocks the red creature coming in, right? Like, it did its thing already. So you just sit back, draw cards, and eventually you get to the farewell. Like, the farewell is always there eventually. It's about surviving that long and drawing it. Something that mono white weenies can do fairly regularly. My quests have cleared up a lot. I'm very glad of that. We're also sitting at around 10k. Like, that's That's a gold pack for when the set releases. The set doesn't release for like another week at this point, but I'm hyped, man. I'm very, very hyped. I want to see the dinosaurs do the thing. We're already on match 3, and it's 10 minutes in, and we won too. So I'm fairly proud. Have you seen my Delighted Halfling opponent? It's very happy for unknown reasons. I think it's holding a loaf of, not a loaf of bread, like it's a toy maybe. I initially thought it was food because of like the pot with the ladle sitting next to it, and it might be, but it's definitely a toy because there are toys that Hobbit children have never seen before. That's the flavor text that we can see there in the corner. If I had read that, it would have been more clear, but it's definitely a toy. Go halfling. The Omna looks cooler every time he shows up. He used to be more powerful every time he showed up, but now he just looks cooler. I'll discard a land. Turtle? Turtle ramp. Turtle good. To attack my blossoming turtle? Oh, my halfling. Well, that's fine. I don't care about him. So up to 6. Next turn we can be up to 7 pretty easily. I mean, that's orrery territory, right? Like, no attack. We need to keep our power, unfortunately. Equip an attack? I mean, I will take the draw, honestly. Oof. Draw 2, make 4 treasures? Like, I'm good with that. Next turn we can draw 7, put a 4-drop into play. It'd be fun if our opponent doesn't have removal, which they should. They're red-black. Removal is a requirement. Well, that's GG. Yep. Ah. Guess you don't need removal if you're quick enough. Does make a lot of sense, though. Do we do a game 5? I think we do a game 5. Green Stompy is quick. Like, we win or we lose. The only options. End turn. I don't know. I find the loading screen messages kind of interesting because they're generally tips on how to play and use the program, but then sometimes they're just random lore dumps, and it's like, it's very cool that they're adding lore into places, but at the same time, it's not useful to people that aren't interested, right? Like, imagine being a new player and learning about Agatha's Cauldron. during the loading screen when you're used to seeing tips on how to actually navigate Arena. It would be a little confusing, wouldn't it? I mean, I guess it might draw some people in, but I don't know. It's an odd choice. It's not as though Wizards actually does much with the lore, anyways. Like they write the articles on it, but they, I don't know, they just have never really put too much stock in it, which is a bit sad. Um, because like on the one end, there have been high periods for the lore where everything was really cool or interesting, and like those were like good periods for people that were interested in the lore of Magic Gathering. But on the other end, there have been some low lows. Like sometimes Wizards will, like War of the Spark is a good example. I suppose would be a better way of rationalizing what I'm trying to talk about. In War of the Spark, they were trying to make it a very story focused set because of like the greater implications for the game overall. Uh, and they had a novel commissioned to go along with it, and the novel was absolute trash. Like it was insanely bad. And it's like, okay, Wizards, that's some very neat stuff you got going on there, but could we not do that? We're getting Saturate and Wazawa. We did Saturate and Wazawa a couple days ago, and we know that like bad things happen this turn. But we can't stop that. We can't stop that. Our opponent fires off a removal spell on the top of his Stomper and does not ninjutsu in an Eldrazi. I will be sad. Top Air Stomper can't block, and an Eldrazi would just kill us. You have to go to your block step, opponent. You have to go past the block step with an ninjutsu. There we go. Ledge monster. Not very exciting. You're gonna buff my Yorvo? Ah. Hmm. I think we just keep playing 5/5s. We're gonna play 6/6, but I'm glad I didn't at the moment. Rude. Yeah, Toppy can attack now, opponent. You got rid of his abilities. That's on you. Hmm. And I guess we keep the card draw. It's the most logical choice. Though a sludge monster on the field doesn't do anything. Maybe games would have been better. Rude. Needed that mana for stuff and things. Yeah, I think we're just locked, unfortunately. So I play this, they attack. They put a counter on Soul of the Harvest, and we're just back where we started. I'm about to say, as a Stompy deck, we agreed when we started this match that we would just play creatures and attack one another, and our opponent has completely violated that compact. They have played a tricky creature that does things other than attack and deal damage, and that's not cool. It's not cool. Block. We will die. You ninjutsu in something with less than 4 power opponent, I will kill you. Or more specifically, I will kill myself, because I will concede. Opponent? No. No, opponent, you've won. Stop ninjutsuing. It is fun, though. I will admit, it is fun to ninjutsu. Either way, thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, remember to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.